radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Good evening. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, it's Fade to Black, and it is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Yeah. What a great week on Fade to Black. Monday night, Randall Carlson was here, the beard of knowledge. What a conversation. Last night, Daniel Bronco was here to discuss the mystery of consciousness. Again, an amazing show last night. We're going to wrap up this week. Well, we're not done yet, but wrapping up the guests this week with the one and only Preston Dennett is with us tonight. We're going to be talking about the healing powers of ET. Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. Tomorrow night, we wrap up the week with our once a month AMA AJA, where you get to come on in here and ask me anything. Yeah, pretty much I answer everything. Doesn't matter, right? Time travel, ET, disclosure, Egypt, countries, ancient history, guitars, tacos, food, comedies, movies, TV series, whatever. My youth. Did you say youths? Youths. That's tomorrow night, our once a month AMA AJA. And aside from, having Preston in here tonight, tomorrow night's going to be my favorite show, but Preston's always amazing. I've known Preston forever. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I was just chatting before I bring Preston in, was just chatting with everybody in the chat. And I'm like really excited. I got this crazy thing up my. I was sitting in my family room and looking at some of the guitars that are in there. And I was looking on, you know what? I'm going to paint you. So I did. I got all the stuff, got everything that I needed. And I was going to do it yesterday and I chickened out. But today I was like, you know what, man? You said you were going to do it, so you're going to do it. So it was a Charvel USA San Dimas, real guitar, and painted that sucker today. And it came out pretty cool. So I'm gonna reveal that tomorrow. I did it. I used automobile paint, and there was a reason why I did that. And what I found out was, that stuff don't wash off. No, it don't, man. Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to have some industrial solvent. What do you do? Just let it wear off, right? You don't want chemicals. You know what I mean? Windex will take anything off, right? But yeah. So anyway, that was my day today. And aside from working and getting stuff done, but I squeezed in a quick free hour and painted that guitar. It turned out really cool. I'll show it to everybody tomorrow night. All right. I'm in a great mood. It's been a great week. Tonight, Preston Dennett is here. Last night, or was it? It wasn't last night. It was Monday night. Monday night with Randall Carlson. And Randall and I probably spent too much time on this, but we probably for about 20 minutes, we're talking about health issues. And it's a really funny thing when you're young, health issues are rare. get a cold once in a while. Health issues are rare. But as you creep up, Preston knows all about it, don't you, Preston? As you get older, stuff stops working, man. It just stops working. Like, okay, so going through periods of, and tonight I'm going to talk to Preston about this. I wonder if ET can help me. After the bus accident, I had a few body things that showed up. I worked through all of it, except for one. I popped this shoulder out of joint. All right. Now, it's back in joint. I'm not going to discuss how that happened. But it's back, but it's just sore. And it's been sore now for 6 weeks. Been massage. I got a massager and heat treatment and stuff, but it's, man, I wonder if ET can help. Tonight, Preston Dennett is here. He is an author. He is a researcher, a pillar of our UFO community. He has been investigating cases for as long as I can remember. And that is a very long time. I originally became aware of Preston back in the early 90s when he was putting flyers up around the valley. And I saw one of the flyers and I went, man, who is this guy? What is going on? Since then, we've become friends. He has, I'm going to say it was around the mid 80s where he started to take his deep dive, not only personally, but with his family and with all of the goings on here in Los Angeles. He is a MUFON field investigator. Of course, he's a ghost hunter. He's a researcher, and he has authored 30 books and over 100 articles. He's one of Amazon's bestsellers, and his links are below over on our website and throughout social media. I would like to welcome back to Faded Black, the one and only Preston Dennett. He's right there. Preston,
hey, Jimmy.
What's wrong with your body this week?
Oh, I'm in my 60s now. I can hardly believe it. But I'm doing pretty good, other than, can't run like I used to. I used to be real strong. As a young man, I was unstoppable. So
me too.
Down a little bit.
Me too. A member of my family sent me a picture. I'm probably 14 years old. I'm wearing shorts from PE class, right? Tube socks, no shirt, on a skateboard, right? And I'm like doing the, and I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, man, I was the shit, right? What happened? I don't know, man. I should go out and get on the skateboard and shirtless and A/B those two pictures, man. That's a scary thought. But yeah, I was so athletic. That was my thing growing up, and we all were. If I had to run today, like to get away from something or to save my life, dude, it ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But Randall and I were talking about this on Monday, and I thought that it was really funny that I never really looked at life this way, but now, because we're going to be talking about health all night tonight and ET and everything, is that I really appreciate those short windows when I'm perfectly healthy. A month. You go 30 days, nothing falls off. You know what I mean? And it's really funny. And then how I try to avoid the doctor. I do. And I don't know if you go to the doctor. There's always an emergency for that. But for the most part, I try to heal myself. And I think a lot of it is up here. Is that a safe place to be?
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. I think you're best off at least trying to heal yourself first. I've been very careful now about the kinds of foods I eat, because I found out that half the stuff we're eating is genetically modified. Found out that there's a major spice company, which I won't name, but has lead in their spice. Really? Crazy. Yeah. I've started looking stuff up with Dolly's help, Dolly Saffron.
Right.
And we're eating a lot more healthy these days because it almost feels like they're trying to kill us. Seriously.
You know what's nuts? I'll tell you what's nuts. We have governments around the world. We have, every country's got a government in it. And we as earthlings like to complain about our government situations. And that's fine. We've been doing that since the dawn of man. All right. I get that. But today that's not the problem. That's not who runs the world. It's corporations that are the issue. Yep. They are the ones that are making the drugs, that own the hospitals, that grow the food, that heat our homes, that build our homes, build our cars. Every facet in our lives is a corporation that is lying to us so they can make money off of us.
Bottom line, yeah.
Isn't that's crazy?
Illness is a business, medicine. It's a business.
You can overthrow a government. You can't overthrow a corporation, man. No. How do you take on a big pharmaceutical? You can't. How do you take on Google or Facebook or Meta? How do you do? You can't. Oracle.
Only another corporation can do it.
Yeah, right. Elon Musk? No, untouchable. Elon, and we'll get into this. Elon has managed. He's the king of the world. Elon has his own space force. He's got his own internet. He owns the internet in space, and he owns one of the biggest social media platforms, right? He owns the internet. He owns AI, Android systems. He's got his own car company. When you really think about it, he's king of the world. He's king of the world. He has got everything.
Whatever you need.
He's got everything in place to control us. It's
worrisome.
That's a really scary thought. And one last question before we get into tonight's subject. Do you think Elon's an alien? He's got some hybrid things about him. His look, there's something.
I have a few questions for him. I have some pointed questions for him because I do think that they walk among us. There are human-looking ETs. There's enough reports of this all over the world from people who've seen, even grays in places where you would never think of seeing them. But definitely, I think that there are some of them among us.
Yeah, I think he's a reptilian, man. I
don't know.
I've had I've had people come up to me and introduce themselves to me as a hybrid and have given me the whole story. Some of them I've even had on the show. Many shows, different shows, TV and radio. And okay, all right, you've got to look. Okay, I see. Okay, all right. But not like Elon. Right? It's like Elon. He looks different, and he acts different, and he walks different, and it talks different. I don't know. I think he's an alien. I think he's a shape-shifting reptilian. So, and I'll stick by it. Why do you think he wants to go to Mars? He's got family there, man. You know what I mean? So
I'm not going. No, I'll stick here on Earth for now.
You wouldn't go?
Not to Mars. If a UFO comes down, I'll go with them. I think I'd feel better off with the ETs. Honestly.
Safer than Elon. ET is safer than Elon. Mars is a trippy thing because that's a bona fide, at least right now, that's a one-way trip. You're not coming back. And that's kind of sucky. I would want to come back. And even if it was ET, I don't know though. As I get older, when I was younger, That's a really good way to look at it, Preston. When I was younger, I had too many friends here. I was having too much of a good time. I don't want to leave anybody. I enjoy where I'm at now at my age. Screw it. Let's go. I would probably not even think twice about it, about the return trip or whatever. Mars is different. Mars, going to an ET's planet where they live, that's different. Going to Mars where it's a messed up place and it's about survival, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not that kind of pioneer.
Yeah, I don't want to live underground or in a dome or something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's a real claustrophobic thing. I don't even think I could go on a submarine. I couldn't do it. I could not get in a submarine and submerge and close the hatch.
I would take a tour, but no, I don't want to go on tour.
Right. I do. Leave the hatch open so I can see the sunlight. I'll take the tour. But close the hatch and go underwater. Claustrophobia, man. There's no escape. And everybody's just on. No. I had an opportunity. Okay, check this out. My agent gets contacted by Rob Lowe. Okay. The actor, and he's doing a TV show, and he wants me to go with him in a mini sub down to the Malibu underwater base.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I said to my agent, I go, what's the plan? Well, man, it's a 3-man sub. There's a captain. You and Rob we're gonna go down 2,000 feet in a little. No, man, Jimmy, think about it. I just thought about it. The answer is no way.
Remember what happened to those folks? They went to the Titanic. That didn't work out well.
I could not. No, there's just no way. No, claustrophobia. I need an escape route. If I know that there's an escape route, I'm okay. I can get through the panic attack. But if there isn't, I mean, that's it.
Escape route. What are you going to do?
No, there isn't. There isn't. No. And I have very few phobias. Claustrophobia is one that I have that I've been able to control a little better, but I also know the circumstances that cause it. And it's really weird. If I don't have a way out of some place, right? A way out, an escape route, I can't handle it. It's really weird. And I wasn't like that when I was younger. Kind of was a little bit, but as I've gotten older, no. Yeah, I need ET's healing powers on that one. When I first got, I was out shopping for motorcycle helmets, and I couldn't wear an enclosed full face helmet. I couldn't do it. I had to get an open face helmet with a full shield that I wore once. That's it. It's still sitting there. Now I can wear, and that wearing the full face constantly has helped me with my claustrophobia. Isn't that weird? Yeah. It's I
felt it. I went to Mammoth Caves in Kentucky and Carlsbad Caverns. You get down in those tight spots, Lava Beds National Monument. My sisters had a complete panic attack. I'm like, we have flashlights. We'll be fine. But no, we had to get out. They were not having it.
No, man. I did that in the Bent Pyramid in Egypt. I lost my shit. I did. So we get down there. First off, to get down there, it's a 200-foot down slope in this tunnel that's this big, right? So you go backwards on all fours. Your back is scraping the top of it. It's that tight. It's real tight. And you got to go down for 200 feet. And if you want to bail out, you can't go around somebody. There's no room. Okay, you can't. No. So you have to commit. You've got to get to the bottom. You've got to wait for everybody else to come through the tunnel. And when the tunnel is empty, then you can leave. That's the escape route I'm talking about, right? There's no escape route. So I get down there and everybody's coming in. And dude, I was like, I gotta go. I have got to. I cannot stay here. I cannot be here. I've got to go. And how many people in the tunnel? 2. Okay, let me know when they're out. I was behaving. I wasn't freaking out in front of everybody. Inside, I was losing it. When that last person came in, I turned and said, "You guys are on your own. I'll see you later." Boom. I was in that tunnel, man. Out of there. Out of there. It was, woo, man. I watched somebody sent me a video clip of you, and I've known you for a long time, and we've talked so many times about so many different things, but somebody sent me a video clip, a very short clip. Uh-oh. And it was you. No, I'm going to ask you about this. It was you telling a story about you, and I may have this wrong. Did you walk through a wall with ET?
I did. Yeah, I had my first fully conscious onboard experience.
So what happened? Can I ask you about it?
Sure. Yeah, and I'm going to blame Dolly Saffron for this one. Because you associate with contactees, you start to have experiences.
Sure.
And
so what happened?
Yeah, I was investigating her case. Literally, the first time I met her face to face, a UFO showed up. So I'm like, okay, this is for real. And she talked. She's got an enormous number of experiences, and she was kind of asking her contacts to give me a ride. And I'm all in, let's go. And it was on my birthday, 2022, May 6th. I'm going to call it the best birthday present I've ever gotten, because
that doesn't suck.
No, it was absolutely great. I was in bed dreaming, like we do. And suddenly I'm woken up because I am pulled out of bed through the wall. And I saw the wall kind of fading away a little bit. And I'm pulled up this, I don't know how to describe it, Jimmy, energy beam. It felt like a mild electric shock. And as I'm hurtling through space, I'm like, you know what? I'm being taken. I remember this feeling because I have had, a couple of missing time incidents and other stuff. So I'm like starting to remember that. I'm like, well, I'm getting taken. And that went on for about 20 seconds, maybe even more. It was a long time. Never saw the craft. Suddenly, the next thing I know, I'm on the table that I've interviewed so many people about. And I'm in this giant room, 50 feet across. It's rounded. It's actually real nice. Indirect lighting, all the things you hear. Little short guys next to me who I wasn't really looking at because there was this lady standing next to me. Let me see, that would be my left. And she is 6 feet tall and thin as a rail. Snow white jumpsuit. You can't get that kind of clean white here on Earth. No zippers, nothing like that. And she's got this normal size head, but she's not fully human. I would say she's a half gray, half human because she had a tiny mouth, almost no nose, ears very small and tightly pressed against her head, and very tightly curled white blonde hair and giant, not huge, but big eyes that were actually really beautiful and kind of curled upwards. And she's looking down at me, and I'm trying to get up because I want to explore. And she put her hand on me and said, no, we need to check to make sure you're okay. I told her, I'm fine. I remember doing this. I'm fine. Like, no, lay down. We need to check you out. And so that went back and forth for a few minutes till she said, fine. She relented because I was gung-ho at this point. I'm like, I need to get up. This is happening. I mean, I can't tell you how thrilled I was. And I leapt to my feet and I'm looking around. It's a round room. It's very cool temperature. The gravity is slightly less, I'm going to say. I can see windows all around the perimeter. There's other people there. I look over one side. There's grays, full on short little gray guys. And that did give me a bit of a scare because they looked so different. But they were pretty far away. They were wearing gray jumpsuits. And I see some people standing behind me in 2 rows who are kind of out of it. But my attention's
humans. You mean humans were standing behind you?
Yep. 2
okay,
rows.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going. This is amazing.
I'm telling you, I have read so much about this. I have interviewed so many people. You have this idea of what it's going to be like. And then it happens to you and you're like, well, this is different. That's different. This is right. This is what I thought. That's not. And I turn and I look, and there's this very tall gray, 6. Now let me see. She'd be 7 feet tall, maybe 8. I'm 5'9 3/4. I basically rush up to her, and I'm looking up at her, and she's got a white smock on and a huge head. This turns out to be Dolly Saffron's main contact. She calls it her mama. Giant eyes, no real nose, tiny mouth, and she's smiling at me with this really tiny little mouth, and she tilts her head forward and to the side and says, "So, this is telepathic. So, is this what you thought it would be like?" And I said, "No, this is much better."
Okay.
It was. I mean, I was.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
I'm jumping up and down like a kid in a candy store. I am thrilled. And I'm like, "Can I explore?" And she's gestured, "Go ahead." So I go to where there's nobody else, one side of the craft. And the windows were at a 45-degree angle, right? All the way around. So I look down, and there's the damn Earth. Not like a globe, but curved. I'm trying to estimate how high up. I haven't really determined it, but looking at like photos from space, about 500 miles, you could absolutely see the curvature of the Earth. And I'm just staring at it in absolute amazement. And I turn around, and this is when I see, again, those 2 rows of people who are standing in the center of this craft. About 8 people in each row. I didn't count them, but about that. So I walk up around them, and I'm facing them. There's a black guy, a white guy, a Latino, a girl, all different ethnicities. And there's this blonde girl. She's at the end. So I walk up to her. I'm like, "Hey, I'm Preston. What's your name?" Blank stare. She's catatonic. She's entranced. She's hypnotized. And I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and wake her up because I'm looking for confirmation. I want people's names. I want names, dates, all of this. But it was pretty clear to me that was not a good idea. So I'm looking around, and I see this other lady who's looking out the window, and she's having a good old time. She's smiling. She looks Korean to me, Asian, short lady, young. So I walk up to her, and I'm about to look at her when I look outside and I see the Earth again. And this craft, not kidding, drops in 1 second to the ground. She screams out. She's like, "Woo!" I'm holding on to this. There was a railing. I'm holding on to it. I'm looking through this window. And it's weird because there's this overlay of alien symbols on like the geographic features. I see a house. We're in a field. There's roads. It's daytime. So I'm trying to figure out where the heck are we? The craft rocks slightly. It's about 10 feet off the ground. I'm like, whoa, because you can feel that. I didn't feel any deceleration or acceleration. And she's screaming, and then it goes right back up in a second. Not 2 seconds. It was about a second.
Now, you said something that caught my ear. You said that there were symbols, alien symbols, placed on stuff on the ground. Was it like an overlay, or are they saying, okay, so that's zip code, if you know what I mean, right? And
yeah, it's kind of like Google, somewhat like Google Maps, but I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what any of this means, because they're not, I would say they're slightly hieroglyphic, but more simple than that. Almost like a Greg shorthand. I don't know if you've ever seen shorthand.
Right.
but it looks just like little curly cues here and there, and maybe a cross. Or I would have to really meditate on it, because I was looking at it and going, well, that's weird. No words or anything like that. Certainly wasn't numbers.
It was an alien Thomas guide.
Yeah.
And nobody in the chat even knows what a Thomas guide is. How sad is that? How sad is that? I remember when I first got to LA back in the 80s, and I'm with somebody that I've just met. I'm fresh from Indiana. And we're going to go to where I was living in Pasadena. We were going to go to some place like in Reseda, right? Something like that. And so we get in the car and I go, you got directions? He goes, man, I got my Thomas guide. Now, I had no idea. I thought he spoke French. It's a person's name, right? Thomas guide. Is he talking about a friend of his? Are we going to pick somebody up? Is buddy Thomas that is his guide? What's he talking about? Reaches in the back seat and pulls it out and hands it to me. He goes, man, look it up. Here's the address. I'm like, what? Oh, Thomas. It's like a map book, like an atlas. I didn't know that there was a whole procedure to use the Thomas guide, right? And, it's
I have
crazy.
one. Are you kidding? It's the only way I could get to conventions or travel anywhere.
That's it. It's the
There
only
weren't cell phones.
Now, Thomas guides. I had friends that had like 6, right? One for Riverside.
I still have one.
I think I do too. I think I saw one packed in a box, but most people don't know what a Thomas guide is. I wonder if there's a digital version. Yeah, there must be. They must be in the next age. So back to this. So you go back up to where you were before, and you're still looking out the window from orbit.
Yeah. And stupid me, I should have turned to that girl and said, what's your name? Because she was fully conscious. But I turn around and this 7-foot tall gray lady is, saying, come here. And she's got something in her hand. I'm like, okay. And it's a glass tumbler, maybe 4 inches high with a real thick rim. And it's got this liquid in it. A green, almost neon liquid. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I know all about this. This is the alien drink. I wrote an article about this. It's in one of my books. I've interviewed people. So again, I'm like, wow, look at this. Here's the alien drinks that I've heard so much about, which we don't know what they're for. Well, I've got an idea now, but I was thinking medicinal perhaps, or to make you forget, or nutrition, all these ideas. And she hands it to me and said, drink this. And I'm like, okay, this lady, I got to tell you, is beautiful. Yeah, she's an alien, but she has got grace and elegance and beauty just emanating from her. Wisdom. This lady was amazing. She was like an enlightened being. It was just amazing to be in her presence.
So the drink was neon green?
Yep.
Where I come from, that's called absinthe. And I love the stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, it looks like a cocktail,
Right. So did you drink it?
Well, not at first. She's told me to drink it. And, I'm curious. So I smell it. And I'm like, no, I can't smell it really at all. But I'm looking at it and it's pretty thick. This is not water. This is more syrupy.
Oh, man.
And I take a sip and yeah, I can taste it. It's very subtle. And the closest I can get to it is sort of kiwi lime. It wasn't super sweet. It definitely wasn't bitter. It wasn't unpleasant in the least. Actually, it was kind of nice. And I wanted to take another sip, but she took it from me. And I'm like, hey, you gave this to me. That's mine. You said I could have that. Can I at least have another sip? And she looked at me like I was crazy. Like, really? You want another sip? Okay. And I took another sip and blacked out. That was it. Maybe something else happened that I don't remember. I don't know. But the next thing I know, I'm waking up in bed, leaping out of bed. This wasn't an out-of-body experience. I've had those. I've had a lot of those. This was something else. And I wasn't in a weird state of consciousness where it's all dreamlike. I was awake. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. But I told Dolly, I'm like, this happened, they gave me this liquid. What the heck is this liquid? And she's like, they give that to people. It's to help guard against too much radiation exposure. I'm like, oh, okay. That was kind of interesting. But yeah, that was my fully conscious, I should say, onboard experience. Because I got memories of being on board.
How do you feel about it now? I mean, you've done so many interviews, but to go through that, how do you feel?
I was hoping they'd say, do you want to stay?
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm not married. I don't have kids. Let's go. And I love my family. I've got a bunch of brothers and sisters and such, nieces and nephews, but it was great. I didn't feel one bit of fear. And I think I've got an advantage there because I've got so much research under my belt. I've got a pretty good idea of what I think, my assessment of the ET agenda. And I don't think it's nefarious. I don't think that they're here to hurt, harm, scare, take over, or anything like that. Not that, it isn't super scary for some people. Some have negative experiences.
Right.
I'll grant that. But yeah, mine wasn't. Mine was great. I would do it again.
I've only got one thing that I could compare that with, and it wasn't negative at all. In fact, it was the exact opposite of it. But I didn't know about this until Sarah Breskman Cosme regressed me. And she regresses me for my TV show, and it's it's on camera. Yeah, you can go see it. Anyway, and I was under for just over an hour, and this thing got unlocked from my memory, and it was crazy because I interview people about this stuff all the time, and I want to know. Suddenly, I am who I'm interviewing, right? It was crazy. And the stuff coming out of my mouth, and the amazing part for me about the whole thing was I was on this ship for about 5 seconds. And when I say 5 seconds, it was like, it may have been 6 seconds. It wasn't 10. And the memory, which I didn't know that I had, now that it's unlocked, it's like perfect. I have the complete memory of the whole thing. It's a 5 second memory. And so, but what happened, which is similar to yours, is I'm whooshed onto this ship. I was with Billy Carson, and we were in Joshua Tree, Billy and I, with like 20 or 30 people, and we go out to Giant Rock, and that's where it happened. And I don't remember it happening, but it happened at Giant Rock. And so anyway, I get whooshed onto the ship, and I'm looking around, and there's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 ETs, all the same, black, fuzzy, not furry, but like out of focus. And they were taller than me. I'm 6 foot, and they're little, maybe 6'6", really thin. And but they had white eyes with like blue, like human eyes, but that were blue, and normal, although they were black, but I could see the mouth open. I could see the red on the inside of the mouth when they were talking. And they were talking. This wasn't telepathic. But this is what happened. I look, and I'm looking around, and the two guys standing in the middle are talking to each other. And one of them turns around and looks at me and goes like this. He goes just like this. just like that. Like, what's up? And very cool. And I just kind of looked around, and I heard them talking. And then I came back to the two dudes that were standing in the middle of the room. One of them gives me a see you later, and poof, I'm back standing next to Billy. 5 seconds. That was crazy. Crazy. And I see everything. Yeah. It's like unlocked.
I don't, until it happens to you, you really don't know what it's like. You know,
All I've got is the story. You know, I don't have a T-shirt. I didn't bring anything back.
no.
You know, it was pretty interesting, and I did not freak out. I was not. I was okay with the whole thing, and they were speaking. And I've said this before. Let me ask you about this. I was listening to one of the guys. I was only there for 5 seconds, and I'm scanning the room. I hear this one guy talking like on a radio, some communication with somebody else, and he was talking Californian.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or bitching, I should
Out
say.
of his mouth. Well, what I mean by that is he wasn't like surfs up on Seal Beach, dude. You know, no, not like that. But what I mean is a very smooth, normal conversation. He was like, "Hey, man, good to see you again. How's the family?" You know, like that. It was like that. Well, we're good. Okay, man, it's good to see you. And so I just hear this chatter go back and forth, but it was wild to see this alien speaking like you and I are speaking right now. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. I wanted to ask you if you felt physically different.
On the craft, no, not really. A little bit lighter. That's about all I can say, because it was just very easy to maneuver. I wasn't floating around or levitating. I wasn't paralyzed. I didn't feel any extreme temperatures. It was very comfortable.
And Preston, I've known you for a long time. And to hear you share this with me, because we're such good friends, it's very compelling to me. And when you say to me, you're saying it to the audience, but when you say to me that this is a fully conscious, awake, real event, that's extraordinary. So for you, all of this was physical. All of this was an event that happened.
100%. Because I have had a lot of recall that is like through the dream state or flashbacks or through meditation, like going up that energy beam. I remember doing that before, where I was in a craft. There was other people there, and there was 8 of us, and one by one they put us in like the pilot seat. Not kidding. And you got to sit down in front while they zoomed around. And I waited till the last, because I don't mind waiting. You know, if I get my turn, who cares? Sat down. We were going along, you know, the LA River, under the bridges on the LA River, so fast that it was almost a blur. You could just barely catch glimpses of the buildings as they're going by. Did it for, I don't know, 20 seconds. And one guy did not want to go out, you know, down the energy beam. And I remember this. I'm like, you know, it's not that hard. I'll do it with you if you want. And he's like, you will? I'm like, sure, it's not that bad. And we went down together, like one of these fires, you know those fire escapes where there's a little kind of tube you can go down?
Right.
That's what it kind of felt like. So I went down with him. I went back up, and that's really all I remember. Other than I was one of the last people to leave. But I've got a lot of these. These are adding up.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow. One last question, then we're going to get on with it here. Anything special that stands out about the interior of the ship? Smells? Was there any decoration? What were the floors like? Is there anything that stands out to you?
There's no decoration. It was very sparse, which is what people always tell me. There's no, you know, I didn't see the table anymore once I was off of it. That pretty much disappeared. The floor was silvery gray. Didn't really look up at the roof that much. I saw that it was rounded. The windows were big. That kind of surprised me. These were not like little tiny portholes. These were, I'm going to say, 5 feet wide, or I mean, tall, and all the way around. So gave you absolute perfect viewpoint of anything you wanted to see down below.
Yeah, I didn't. There was no windows where I was at. It felt. I couldn't see the walls. Everything was black, right? So, but it felt dome-like, even though I couldn't see it. It's a hard thing to describe. It was more like a feeling that I had, like this room was a big dome, but I couldn't see the walls. I don't think I ever looked down. I didn't have the time. But it felt like it was a dome, but there were no windows. There was nothing to describe there. And I asked people the same questions that I just asked you, and I want to hear it. I don't have anything to offer up. You know?
I had another really good one, which is, again, this one came through a dream, but these are different than your normal dreams. But I was invited, and I remember I'm a polite guy. When you're walking through a museum, you're not touching everything. You ask. So I had my hands kind of folded, behind my back, and I'm talking to this very tall guy who I cannot, for the life of me, focus on his face. It blurs every time I look at him. I've read this. I've talked to people who've had this problem. So I'm really trying to see what this guy looks like, because he is 8 feet tall, easy, and he is thin. This, I'm guessing, is a tall white jumpsuit, but the walls were like the dull side of tinfoil, aluminum foil. And they come straight down and they curve right into the floor. And I'm like, he said, can I take you to the other room and show you the power source? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And he showed me this device, which I could not focus on it. It had slats that were horizontal, like an old style furnace. So it was very simple. And he says, look at that. And he points to the corner of this room, which again was completely rounded. And darned if it does not completely turn transparent. Suddenly there's not a window, it's transparent. And we're underwater. We are absolutely underwater. And I'm like, wow. And we go to the other room, and I'm like, how will I recognize you if I see you again? Was my question to him. And he was very stern. This is not like someone who's touchy-feely and going to hug you or anything. This guy was business. And he said, you will know me because you will have to look up to me. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Just because he's real tall is what I'm thinking. But, you look up to someone. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was kind of a double entendre there.
Yeah, totally.
But it was
totally.
And I ended up seeing him again. I did.
Wow. And so the same person, the same ET.
I think so. And then I could not see his face.
Yeah. I've only had a couple of experiences like this, and I don't like talking about them because I don't want to contaminate somebody else's experience, right? So I keep it to myself, but I ask the questions, and I'm always comparing it to what I think I experienced. And so going back to this little 5-second episode, what was strange to me is what you are describing right now. These ETs, they weren't all identical. They were all the same race, but they were not identical. But they were all out of focus, like fuzzy. And so when I tell people fuzzy, I know they're thinking like a teddy bear, right? No, that's not what I'm talking about. They were fuzzy on the edge, like they were out of focus and jittery. It's hard to, I don't know how to explain it. And I remember, but the face itself, when he turned and looked at me, was like the eyes were perfectly crystal clear. But the other, everything out was like, I don't know, man. So hard to explain. Like, when a camera's out of focus, the edges, it's kind of like that. It's hard to explain. And they were black. They were just black,
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how much you can pick up in just 5 or 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Because people will tell me.
Now
I saw it. It hung there for 10 seconds. I'm like, well, that's not that long. It is when you're seeing stuff like this. It's a long time.
Yeah. Hey, man, I had Preston and I used to be neighbors, everybody here in Southern California. And so I'm going to tell you what I saw last week here in Southern California. It was pretty incredible. After the show, I think it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now. I go out, it's 10 after 9, 9:15, like right in there. And I go out to check on my sprinklers in the front yard, make sure that everything's running. Is that you making that noise?
No.
Do you hear that?
Don't hear anything. No.
Okay, that is crazy. You're not doing that.
No. What are you hearing?
What the hell, man? Okay, look at the chat. Yes, we hear it. We hear it. We hear it. What?
I'm not touching anything.
No, your hands were up when it was going on. Yeah, look at the comments. Yeah, it stopped. That was weird, man. I was, you know what? I was getting ready. I thought we were going to hear a voice crack in. Preston, it's us. We're back. That was crazy. Sounded like a code. Yes, it did. It sounded like a code, like a rhythm. Yes. Electric static. Wow,
there are cases.
That was pretty wild.
I did a whole chapter on ET phone calls.
I thought you were like, doing something with your microphone or something. And then all of my meters are going. And you know what it was like? Remember in Contact? When they were looking at the meters of the sound, that's what it was. That was wild. That was cool. Man, I love it when that stuff happens. Man, my heart, man, that was cool. Well, when you hold up your hands, I was watching the meters. I put up my, and I was like, what? Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Okay, what were we just? Where were we before we had the alien code break in?
I don't know. Blurry faces.
I can't remember. I totally got distracted. Yeah, like communication. It was. Yeah. Check it back on the replay.
Oh yeah, you were going to talk about what you saw in LA.
Oh, that's right. See, that's what. Okay, let me tell you what I saw last week. So. I go out, it's 9:15, and something, and this is in Palmdale. I don't live at the house that you used to come over to. I sold that house. I'm out in Palmdale now. And so I'm standing out, and something makes me look up, and I do, and I look right at this bright star. Okay. And right as I look at the star, underneath it was this deep blue sphere with a glowing blue halo around it. And it wasn't very high. Was not very high. It was probably as big as a dime. If you hold up a dime like at arm's length, it was like that big. And it goes underneath the star. And I said out loud, well, look at you. Right. And and then it goes into the clouds. There was a line of clouds, and that was it. I couldn't see it anymore. But it was a bona fide, holy grail, perfect, amazing, low altitude ship of some kind of craft. It was amazing, man. It was amazing. Wow. It was just so cool. 5 seconds. That's all I had. 5 seconds. Didn't have my phone with me, none of that. So it was too quick anyway. But something compelled me to look up. And I looked at the star, and it just went right underneath the star. 5 seconds, maybe. just long enough for me to go, man, right on. Yeah, it was wonderful. Right after that, 2 planes were flying at the same time, like one going to Burbank and one flying somewhere else. And with their lights on and everything, planes. And what I saw was way below those. Yep, yep. When it flew into the clouds, it was so low, I thought it was going to be under the clouds, but it was just above the clouds, and then flew in and flew away. But welcome to Southern California, right? This has been going on here forever. Your first sighting, we're going to take a break and we'll come back and we'll get into the health stuff with ET. Your first sighting was it over near, was it in the Arroyo? Your first sighting that you had, was that in the Arroyo by JPL, like La
No.
Cañada?
No, there was one there off the 210 freeway in Pasadena,
Right.
in La Tuna Canyon. I had
Yes.
a great sighting there. I'd seen some anomalous lights for a while, but my first real one was this orb in July of 1992, driving home in Woodland Hills. I was on Golondrina Street, hitting Canoga Avenue. I was about to, when I saw what I first thought was a bird or a firecracker or a reflection coming down towards my car, and it stopped right in front of my windshield, goes back and forth, stops again. So now I know this is intelligently controlled. About the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bigger, soft white, hard edges, and it goes forward and goes straight up and disappears, and I forget the whole darn thing for months, 3, 4, 5 months. So I'm pretty sure I had missing time. It took me a while to come to that conclusion, but I remember it. I'm sticking to it. I remember this very well. I stopped the car because it was right in front of me. So I'm pretty sure that was...
That whole area, when you go south of Ventura Boulevard in Woodland Hills, and most people don't understand, they picture LA as LA. I get that. But the area that Preston is we're talking about, Woodland Hills, the West Valley, once you get out there and you get south of the boulevard, it's nothing but mountains all the way to the beach, to Malibu. Yeah. And it's forest land, and there's houses and there's stretches of that, but the majority of it is just unpopulated forest, hills, and mountains, and there's been nothing but activity there for decades.
Yeah, I wrote a whole book on a wave of sightings there from actually at that exact time, 92 to 94. Yeah, it is huge. People get lost up there. They've lost their lives, could not find their way back, which kind of amazes me because as a young kid, we're going up and down these hills. But I can see that happening. It's the state park.
Yeah, it's the state park. It's the state park.
Santa Monica Mountains.
Yeah, you're right, though. How many times growing up did you and I watch some helicopter rescue of somebody in Topanga Canyon? How many times? How many times? It was a lot, man. It was a lot. And I would always ask, how do you get lost and have to have a helicopter rescue in Topanga? Well, go to Topanga.
Yeah, I got lost with my brother once, and he pointed to a fire break about 3 miles away. So we had to climb up, down a mountain, up a mountain, down a mountain, up a mountain, down a mountain, and up to the fire break. And we ended up walking 7 miles till we found out where we were and walked home. So we got home a little late, but we were fine.
It happens, man. You can live there and get lost. Let's take our break. And when we come back, Preston Dennett is our guest. We're going to talk about, does ET have healing powers? We're going to talk about some cases, what other people are saying, and of course, his research. All of that and much more. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Preston, stay right there. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade to black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, tonight. Preston Dennett is with us. Let's get to it. We're going to talk about, does ET have healing powers? So, Preston, what does your research tell you about this? Can ET heal us?
100%. And I think it happens a lot more often than people realize. One of my first cases involved a lady who had a cyst in her fallopian tubes and basically was having a lot of problems with it. Went to the doctor, was fully diagnosed, scheduled surgery. The night before surgery, she had a visitation. She's got a lot of visitations. And they were by grays. She didn't really remember much, but she thought it was kind of odd that it happened the day she was supposed to have surgery. So she goes to the doctor, and they do pre-op imaging whenever they do these kinds of surgery. And they came back into the room looking at the images, and they said, well, what happened? What's going on? Did you have surgery? And she said, no, I did not. I said, well, yeah, you did. Your cyst is gone, and there's only fluid that's present after you've had surgery. So we know you had surgery. Did you go to a hospital? She's like, no, I didn't. So now she's knowing what happened. I asked her, why didn't you just tell them? She's like, are you kidding? I'm not going to tell them that, I was taken on board and healed. And of course, she didn't remember that, but this was kind of my first personal case of this. And I instantly thought to myself, well, God, didn't Jacques Vallée have a case where, a medical doctor in France was struck by a beam of light by a UFO and healed of an axe wound on his foot, and also partial paralysis from injuries in the Algerian War. A good case. And I thought, that's not the only one I know of. So I started thinking of a bunch of them. 2 police officers in Damon, Texas. One struck by a beam of light. His arm is outside of the window, and he can feel this beam of light, tingling and warmth. He had just been bit by his son's baby pet alligator and had a wound on his finger. That was pretty bad, painful and swollen. He said the pain went away instantly. They drove off, pulled into a diner, pulled off the bandage. No sign of this wound. There was another case that I thought of. Ralph and Judy Bloom wrote a book, Beyond Earth, I think it was called. They had a gentleman that they interviewed, a Peruvian customs official, was out on his veranda, saw a UFO way the heck up there. It sends down this violet beam of light, hits him, and cures him eventually of rheumatism. That took place over a period of about a week, but instantly cured him of nearsightedness. So I knew about these and a bunch of other cases. So I thought, I'm going to write an article. I've got my own case. No one's talking about this. I found 30 cases in a matter of a couple of weeks. Dug deeper, found about 100. And 100%, this is not speculation, because what I found, Jimmy, is that pretty much every major researcher out there has multiple cases. And I can go down the list. It's Bud Hopkins, it's John Mack, it's David Jacobs, it's Edith Fiore, it's RD6 Killer Clark, it's Barbara Lamb.
Travis Walton.
Yeah. Michael
Travis
Hessen, Tim
Yes.
Beckley, Jacques
Tim
Vallejo,
Beckley. Right.
Brad Steiger. They all have them. So no one was really talking about them. And that ended up being the subject of my first book. And I've since found 3 times that amount. So I reissued that book. And every time I speak on this subject, someone's like, oh, well, that happened to me. I got cured of an infected tattoo, someone said. They cured me of deafness. It's across the board here. Very minor illnesses, but cuts, burns, flus, back pain, stomach pain, liver disease, kidney disease, very serious conditions, and some very well verified. It's absolutely one of the main ET agendas, demonstrably.
Does the fix always happen the same way, or are there different methods to ET medicine?
There's different methods. It's almost, I would say, well over 50% of the time, some form of light. But not always. I mean, there was a guy who had kidney stones, whose best friend was a contactee, Hector Del Mundo. This is a Costa Rican case, I think. At any rate, they're rushing him to the hospital for his kidney stones, and this UFO shows up and starts circling the car. That's it. No missing time, no beams of light. He's like, I'm feeling a lot better. The pain's going away. I don't really need to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, you're going. This has been a problem. And of course, when they got there, they couldn't find a trace of the kidney stones. One of about, 3-4 cases I have of kidney stone healings. But yeah, usually a beam of light when you're driving along, or they'll appear in your house, your bedroom, cure you with a little handheld instrument. Like one lady I interviewed from Norway, she contacted me. She has chronic back problems. No history of encounters, by the way. This lady really gave me a clue as to who's being healed and why. But she said these grays came in and they were not very polite, flipped her around like a rag doll, paid no attention to her questions, put her on her stomach. And you know what a lint roller looks like? A handle.
Of course, yeah.
Right? That's what she said it looked like. And this is, of course, ringing a bell to me because I've heard this described by at least 4 other people who interestingly were cured of back pain. She said they placed it against her back. She felt pulses of energy, and they filed out through the wall. And she looked out the window. She saw this eerie blue light. She leaps off her bed, rushes to the window, and of course, they're gone by this point. But her chronic back pain from a previous injury is now gone. So I'm asking her, did you see little guys as a child? Have you seen UFOs before? Is anyone in the family? Any missing time? All the questions you would ask. And she's like, no. She did not fit the profile of a contactee, which almost the majority of people, 70% of people who are healed, are essentially contactees. But not always, and she wasn't. And so I went down all the questions I could think to ask. And finally I asked her, what do you do for a living? Not thinking there was going to be any clue here. Turned out there was. She says, I'm an artist, but I'm retired. I work doing animal and human rights in my country. She said, please don't use my name. I'm very well known. That struck a chord for me because I had just interviewed Reverend Michael Carter, who you may have heard of.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Great guy. He was healed of a blood clot. He fights against racism. He's a healer. And I thought, well, gosh, John Hunter Gray. He's a well-known person in this field who worked for civil rights for Native Americans. And he was healed. And I'm like, well, gosh, Jacques Vallée's guy was a doctor. So I started going through my cases. The people who are being healed are people who are doing good work for humanity in some capacity. So you got doctors, you got nurses, you got musicians, inventors, environmentalists, social workers, teachers, writers. They love musicians. So it's a loose pattern. It's not hard and fast rule, but it keeps
but no felony convictions, right? You know what I mean? No felony conviction. You have to have a clean record. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the process. So with us humans, you've got a room full of people, you're talking about stuff, and then the doctor walks in, right? Doctor's different than every. Is it the same thing with ET? Do they have doctors? Or is this all done with technology and they don't need doctors?
Well, it's kind of a bell curve here. Michael Carter, he said that they didn't use any technology. They did basically a hands-on healing. About 10% or less of the cases, they're not using technology as we would think of it. But yeah, people are taken on board. And if you study the onboard cases, people describe this in very medical terms. Now, there's an examining table. The room was spotless. They're wearing gowns and medical instruments and so forth. It's one of the reasons people are being pulled on board is to be physically examined. And
talk to Whitley about that, right? Well, here's the thing. Like with Travis specifically, for many years, he looked at his experience one way. And then after time and thinking about it a lot, he said, I think they took me on board because they injured me and they wanted to fix me.
Right.
And I don't consider it a negative experience. And I always found that fascinating, because he was blasted. Right. If you remember, right. He was knocked back 15 or 20 feet and was seriously injured, but he wasn't once he was returned.
Yeah. What's interesting about his case, he thought he was in a hospital. I've heard that a million times, but they laid this instrument that kind of curved over his chest. I've heard this described by many people. That is an X-ray type device, which will display your organs in a hologram, living color, full on. One lady who had apparently kidney failure, hadn't gone to the bathroom for 3 days, went to the doctor. He's like, you are in full on kidney failure. You need to go to the emergency room right now. She went home to alert her family, her friends, or her coworkers, said, pray for me. I'm going to the emergency room, and hung up the phone and collapsed in bed and woke up semi-conscious, seeing these little guys, not grays, short little brown-skinned humanoids, massaging her abdomen. She's going in and out of consciousness. This went on for some time, and she wakes up in the morning. She's fine. She goes to the bathroom, goes to the doctor. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. I think that I must have misdiagnosed you. He said, what happened? And she says, well, I think it was angels. She didn't, but that's what she told everyone until a couple of months later. She's pulled on board. Full on board experience. She's physically examined. There's those same little guys. They placed the same device that Travis described and so many others. They showed her organs in full living color and pointed it over her kidney. They're like, look, your kidney, it looks good. You're healthy. And does it feel good? And she's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. They adjusted it and they said, there's your liver. Do you see all these black spots on it? And she saw, her liver had all these weird dark spots on it. And they said, your liver is damaged. It's because you're drinking too much Diet Coke. You need to stop drinking Diet Coke. Not kidding. They gave her dietary advice. So got a bunch of cases of that too, where they like, you need to stop smoking. You're eating too many fatty foods. You're getting fat. One lady was not happy with that.
ET wants us healthy before they have sex with us and have hybrid children.
Well,
see, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Some people feel that way.
Yeah, you need to be.
They're like, they're just one person said it's equipment maintenance.
Yeah, of course. But we scan everybody. Yeah, that's That's fascinating to me. And so I guess it's kind of like a Back to the Future. Where we go, we don't need roads. Well, with ET, they don't need doctors, right? The technology for them is at a level of, okay, they figure out what molecules in your body are misbehaving, correct all of that, and send you on your way. There's no reason to have a diagnosis or you know what I mean, a doctor step in and
Yeah,
tell you
they know
what's
more about
going
the
on.
human body than we do.
Right.
They're in chronic diseases. One guy I interviewed, they pulled him on board and they said, "You have a brain tumor." He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm fine." And we're like, "No, you won't be, but we'll fix it." So there's a small category of that sort of thing. But like one lady I interviewed, she had glaucoma, serious. Her vision was deteriorating. And her husband's a contactee with mantids. And they went camping in the forest behind their home in, I think it was Maine, somewhere on the upper East Coast, Northeast. And she wakes up in the middle of the night. She can't move. There's these clicking noises. She trying to open her eyes. She can't. Feels this energy going through her head. She's absolutely sure there's beings in the tent with her. Wakes up the next morning and she's like, "God, my vision feels, I think I can see a whole lot better." Goes to her ophthalmologist and he loses his mind because he does the imaging. He says, "Your optic nerve has doubled in thickness. This can't happen. This was a deteriorating condition that was going to leave her blind." And he's like, "I don't know how to explain this, but you're doing much better. This is incredible." So I got 20 cases of people who have vision cured in some way. Like John Carpenter, he was a researcher from the Midwest.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, John Carpenter. Okay.
Yeah. He had a patient who was colorblind. Pulled on board, they took one of his eyeballs out, he remembers. He thought they were implanting something, but comes back. He is not colorblind anymore. There's only one, I think it was up to, he couldn't see green, but otherwise he can see all the colors now. Cured him of colorblindness. How crazy. Why would they do that? That's not something that is vital to survival necessarily.
Man, you've got me thinking. What about the other end of the spectrum, like improving things, intelligence, speech,
100%.
weight loss, beautification, stuff like that. Suddenly you can play piano.
Yeah, well, that's what happened with Jacques Vallée's client. One lady did ask for breast enlargements jokingly, and they were like, "No, we're not doing that." One said, "Can you remove these cesarean scars?" And we're like, "No, we really can't do that." Sometimes they won't do it. They said they'll say some stuff like, "This is karmic," or something along those lines. But there was a case by Artie Six Killer Clark. She's got a number of them, where one guy was a bicycle racer. I think this was Mexico. And pulled on board, doesn't remember a darn thing. But after this experience, he was faster and stronger and started winning all his bicycle races. I've got a number of cases of that. And yeah, intelligence too. One guy I interviewed rose to the top of his class. He was not doing that well. Became a chiropractor, a very intelligent guy. But people have actually tested their IQ and it goes up 20, 30, 40 points in some cases. So there's something to that. I've got cases where people are cured of suicidal depression. One guy was ready to go out and end his life in the desert and was ready. I mean, he was ready. And Grays showed up. He ended up having like 5 hours of missing time. But he says, "I felt great after that. I'm in a good place." I've got 4 or 5 cases of that. So it's across the board. It's not just physical illness, it's mental as well. Animals too, I should say.
It's fascinating to me. When I hear stories like this, and there are many out there that feel that the ET presence is nothing but negative. They're taking over the world. They're planning on, this or whatever it is. And it's a total negative vision of ET and what their intentions are. I have yet to hear, you know what I mean? Something completely negative and just like bad intentions. And they've got bad, man, have you seen To Serve Man? Have you seen that Twilight episode? Well, okay. No, I get that. I'm not saying we should let our guard down, but I would say overall, the message has been very clear. Be good, behave, take care of the planet, be better people. That's what you need to focus on. You guys are on the wrong path. And that just says to me that it's been a pretty overall good experience that we've had with ET. It's not a bad one. And if they're healing us, isn't that a really good example? I mean, that's pretty good evidence
for people. There's no doubt it's difficult for people. It's almost always people have an extreme amount of fear in the beginning, loss of control. They feel it's not voluntary.
Yeah.
What's going on? I hate you guys. They're waking up on a craft and they're being examined, and sometimes painful, not very often, but sometimes. But it's the loss of control, I think, that really upsets people. And they suffer from PTSD and nightmares and fear of intruders and insomnia. So I can see why this is a negative experience for people.
Well, yeah, look, all you have to do, I did it, you did it, is go and listen to the Betty and Barney Hill tapes. That'll scare the shit out of you. I don't want to go through that. Barney screaming. And when Betty describes the needle in the navel, holy crap, man, that's just. Yeah.
They apologized to her. They said, "We didn't mean to cause you pain. We're very sorry about that." Whitley Strieber is screaming his butt off, and they said, "What can we do to make you stop screaming?" The fear is on us. That's not their goal, to freak you out.
Oh man, the idea of an alien race putting me on an exam table and doing an alien version of I don't want that. I don't care how. I don't want that experience.
There was a lady who had gallstones. She's a medical professional. Woke up and saw the surgical scar on her stomach. She was not happy about it. She felt like she was waking up from anesthesia. It healed up in hours. So this is one of the things you see. People will wake up and there's a healed scar. She saw this immediately and she opened it up. And she could see into her body. She went to the doctor, her gallstones. She was going to have her gallbladder removed. Gallstones were gone. Still, she's absolutely unhappy with this. She's like, someone was in my house and I did not invite them. So I'm not going to gaslight a witness who's, no, this is great for you. No, it's up to you to interpret your experience the way, because it's your experience.
Yeah,
but I can tell you, having interviewed hundreds of people, that, it starts out rough. But almost always at some point, I'm going to say 80% of the people I've talked to, almost no one will say it's evil. I've got one who said it's demonic, one who thinks they're jinns. But most people are like, it was rough in the beginning, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. They healed me. I'm super psychic now. I've got a whole new way of looking at the universe and the world and our place in it. So there's really good things to contact. And if you take a good objective, and I'll underline that, objective look at the sequence of events that take place when a person is pulled on board, you're physically examined. In fact, Thomas Buller did a study of 300 cases. That's the one experience that varies the least. Almost for sure you're going to have that. But they'll take you down to the engine room and show you how it works. They will take you up to the control room and sit you in the pilot seat and give you a ride. They will give you messages about your personal life, your relationships, your job, where you live. They will talk about warnings against nuclear proliferation, pollution.
But you have to go through the exam and put your legs in stirrups And that's the thing that I don't want to, if I'm getting the tour of the ship, right? And I'm around the corner and I'm looking into a room with a stainless steel exam table with equipment hanging from the ceiling that looks dangerous to me, I'm going to go, okay, I'm cool. No, let's go back to the engine room. Can I see the cafeteria? You know, I'm not.
I get it. Nobody likes going to the doctor. It's not like, oh, let's have fun. Let's go to the doctor. But they're there to help, and they do save lives. And I've got case after case of people who were saved in different ways.
Like what? Give me one.
There was one lady I interviewed. She crashed her motorcycle in the Watchung Mountains of New Jersey. And this was an older motorcycle where you had to kickstart it. Wasn't an ignition like we have today. And she was on this rural mountain road in the middle of the night. It's very cold. And her motorcycle, the Kickstarter, is bent completely out of shape. She's stranded. This is a bad situation. Her, quote, friends show up. This is a really only fully conscious encounter. She's seen them when she was a little girl. She's had missing time, close-up UFO sightings. But two of these hybrid grays show up and tell her to step back. She's 10 feet away from them. One lifts up her bike, bends down, and straightens the darn Kickstarter with his hands. And they step back, motion her to get on the motorcycle. She starts it up just fine, and off she goes. She's like, they saved me. They saved me from a dire situation. I've got cases of some people who were Dolly Saffron. She was lost during a storm. UFO showed up and basically said, no, you need to go this way. 3 cases of people saved from drowning, car accidents. I mean, there's a long list of this kind of thing.
The evidence of it. What do doctors? I'm talking about human doctors? How do they explain away the sudden disappearance of a tumor? Right? Kidney stones, or you know what I mean? And suddenly, without a procedure or without treatment, that the stuff has just disappeared. How do doctors answer that?
They're really upset often. They will say, usually it's, well, must have misdiagnosed you. And other times it'll be like spontaneous remission, which is a well-verified medical phenomenon that's unexplained. But often they're like pretty upset. Carl Higdon, cured of tubercular scars on his lungs. That does not heal. That's a permanent scarring. And kidney stones, by the way. Very famous case, Carl Higdon from Rawlins, Wyoming. It leaves a long trail.
Well, there's the case of Debbie Cobble, and she's amazing, you know, subject of Bud Hopkins' book. And with Debbie, after her encounter and contact experience, which, by the way, here's the crazy part about Debbie and I. We went to the same high school, same friends, grew up in the same neighborhood, right? On the east side of Indianapolis. We both went to Warren Central High School. And that's pretty nuts. And so I was there. We lived there together when she was going through all of these experiences in my neighborhood. Like it's a small, it's Cumberland, Indiana, man. It's a tiny little, you know, few blocks by a few blocks. And Debbie and I lived there together. And so when she was going through this, she was pregnant. And she goes to the doctor. Now, Debbie, if you're listening to this or if you hear this later and I tell this incorrectly, I apologize if I mess up. But this is pretty much it. Talked to her about it a few times. And she's pregnant. Okay. And so she's going through the motions, and then she's got to go back. She's got another visit with the women doctors that you go into, the
gynecologist.
Yeah, I don't want to say those things. It's her personal business. But anyway, so she goes back and they come in and they go, you're not pregnant. She goes, what? You were never pregnant. Right. That's crazy. Not a miscarriage. Nothing like, no. She's pregnant. She's following up with her next appointment. She was never pregnant.
Doctors, I've got a beef with some of these guys, the way they handle this. I talked to a lady from Canada and her husband, a young couple who had that happen. She was 7.5 months pregnant. She showed me the pictures, the medical files, which weirdly my computer crashed right after that. But I was able to, still speak with her, and lost her baby at 7.5 months after a UFO experience. Went to the doctor, and they're like, well, we must have misdiagnosed you. But she was having so much trouble getting any medical attention. This is Canada. They've got their issues, as we do. But at any rate, after that, the red carpet is rolled out. Come in anytime. They're sending her tests to all these major hospitals. Got a bunch of cases of that kind of thing. In fact, one lady...
okay. No, well, hold on. Hold on. This is my dark mind. So lots of talk about crash retrievals, lots of talk about alien tech, anti-gravity, this, that, propulsion systems, and Colonel Corso's book, Kevlar, night vision, whatever it may be. All right. So we have that part. Well, wouldn't these corporations that are backwards engineering these craft also be reverse engineering medical technology? And is our government in possession of this type of healing technology?
Yeah, I found very little information on this, but I did find some. There was handheld laser type of thing that can open and shut a cut. I think the one that most impressed me was this handheld, almost jewel-like device, which really they didn't know how to operate it until they set it on a person's body, and it rolled around and it would display a tumor and show you exactly where the tumor was anywhere on a person's body. And some apparent anti-aging type of technology, light technology, which we're beginning to understand ourselves.
That's right.
Using lights to heal people. Well,
we're also jumping into telomeres and other anti-aging processes, and the chatter is today that there are people that are alive right now that are going to make it to 150 years old.
Yeah, we'll see. But the pharmaceutical industry is, I think, one of the forces behind the cover-up, because they're why would they ever release this technology when they
wouldn't? I talk about this a lot. So what would piss people off more? The fact that the governments know and have had contact and are continuing contact with ET and not telling us about it and keeping it a secret? Well, okay, I think that's an easy conclusion to jump to. And I don't think anybody would be surprised if that was indeed a fact. And I believe that it is, as do you. Okay, what would really piss people off? Well, what if they had free energy and they never shared that with us, our governments? Well, that would piss people off. How long have you had this free energy? All right. You want to take it to another level? What if our government had ET healing technology and kept that from us? Woo! That's a shitstorm.
Yeah. One of the driving forces behind the cover-up, the ET technology. It's because we're an oil-based economy. This is why I think the energy industry, the insurance industry, the banking industry, pharmaceutical industry, the aviation industry are the folks who are most responsible, the intelligence agencies and the highest levels of the military. But those are the ones that are running the country. It's not the president. It's not the legislative, the Congress. Certainly not the judicial branch. It's these other folks, the cabal. Call them what you want. We know who's behind this.
That answers a lot of questions about Eisenhower. Think about it. So he goes to Palm Springs. The press release from AP was that he had a heart attack and died. Then they retracted that. He's in Palm Springs, 1954. And then they do a press release. Eisenhower's got a toothache. And he goes to Edwards Air Force Base, right up the street. That's what happened.
Yep.
ET gave him a root canal.
I know the story well.
Now it makes perfect sense. Man.
There are cases of dental healings, by the way. There was a guy, Ventura Steris, who grew a third set of teeth after being struck by a beam of light. It was rough at first. He, had radiation sickness to some degree, apparently, but ended up growing a third set of teeth, was interviewed by multiple doctors, UFO researchers, and government officials. Over 60 times they examined this poor guy, who was like 78 when this happened.
And he's got a beautiful set of choppers.
Well, I don't know if it ever fully grew out to a whole set, but yeah, new teeth started coming in.
Wow.
So one guy, he's a contactee, West Virginia. Daniel was his name. Wouldn't give his last name. Had an impacted wisdom tooth and asked the ETs, like, could you fix this? I'm like, all right, we'll fix it, and cured it. Sometimes that happens. Jim Law, Gainesville, Florida, had a hernia. The Grays show up. He doesn't like them. It's very scary for him. But now he's remembering. He's fully conscious. He's over his fear, largely. And he's like, I've got this damn hernia. What will you fix it? And they said, we know of this condition that you speak of, and we will repair it. That's pretty much a direct quote. And they held up a flashlight-like device and ran it back and forth a few times and cured him. And then they said something really interesting, because he asked them, why are you taking me? What is it about me that you find so interesting? And they said, we are interested in your genetic potential to live a long time. He has longevity in his family. His grandfather was 106. His aunt, his mom lived into their late 90s. So I've got a bunch of cases which point towards that. Longevity being one of the draws of why ETs are interested in people, because they're following certain genetic lines. And we know this.
Have to. Yes. If ET is observing us like we are observing them, right? We're looking at exoplanets every day, looking into exoplanets' atmospheres, discovering more. That's what we're doing. We're well, the ET's doing that, looking right back at us, and they're much more advanced than us, and they zone in on this beautiful blue marble, and so for millions of years, they've been researching this planet. Just like if we found a beautiful blue gem out there, that's going to be our focus. We're going to study everything about that planet until we can get there. And when we do, we're going to know a lot about that planet by the time we get there. It's the same thing with us. They've been studying us. They know all about our genetics and our atmosphere and carbon based and everything else, our eating habits, our fears, the things that we enjoy. They know all of that. They would have to, because we're going to do the same thing. When we finally confirm officially we found a planet with life on it, what are we going to do? We're going to study everything about it.
Yeah, their behavior falls under the same umbrella as human behavior. Maybe not quite as violent, and I don't know that they do mass genocide and this sort of thing. But absolutely.
Well, okay. That's a really good point. Now we're talking about health issues, right? Okay, so we send the Smithsonian, who's got a laboratory in the rainforest of Brazil. Well, they've got thousands of them probably. But anyway, so a team of researchers from the University of Arizona, whatever, anthropologists, and they're all down there discovering species. What are they doing? They're going into the jungle looking for a species, a new one of anything. And when they find one, what do? They bag and tag it. They take it out of their habitat, take it back to their laboratory, bisect it, dissect it, right? And then send it back to the United. They've removed a mother from a family, right? from the rainforest in Brazil. And we don't bat an eye with that. We're just doing research. If ET is doing that with us, and they're way above, are they looking at us as intelligent, sentient beings? Or are they just putting us on a laboratory table like we would do in the rainforest in Brazil? What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't think I would look at it that way, because contactees get the message. Basically, a lot of them look upon the ETs as their friends or family. There was a guy.
We do that. Okay, we do that with dolphins or whales or whatever. Tag their ear and let them go again, check their health, and then send them on their way. Well, ET does that with us. Little implant in the neck.
Yeah, well,
and send you back home.
About implants for a second. This is a really interesting subject because there's all kinds of speculation. It's for tagging, it's for tracking. I don't think so.
What do you think it is?
People have asked the ETs, "Do you need this to track us?" And they're like, no, we can find you wherever you are. And in fact, a lady I interviewed who had her implant removed by Dr. Roger Lear was visited shortly later. From the first time I heard any information that is not speculation was from a lady who asked, "What are you doing?" "We're implanting you." "Why?" "This is to measure the level of pollution in your body." I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So I started paying attention to that. Found another case. This is to monitor your vital signs. This is to boost your immune system. And I've kept real close attention to this. It's often health related, not always. Sometimes to facilitate communication has been a couple of explanations there. One lady I talked to, was healed of a hypoglycemia type illness, which was real bad. She was going downhill fast and was healed by this 9-foot tall, orange-haired humanoid. And what's really interesting to me, she says, right before I got sick, I was vacuuming the rug and I sneezed and out came this little metal spool. She's like, "What the heck is this?" Flinged it to the floor. Realized, she's a lifelong contactee. She's like, "What have I done? This could be important." Got down on her hands and knees for 2 hours. Couldn't find it. Never did find it. But that's when she started getting real sick. And they pulled her on board. They did their thing and they healed her. The doctors couldn't. They didn't know what the heck was wrong with her. She was losing weight, fainting 5 times a day. The day after her experience, she didn't faint once. So
wow,
there's something to these implants.
What about psychic abilities?
Yeah.
Do you you come back on the return trip and you're back and suddenly you've got gifts? What about that? Does that happen?
Yeah, and I think it's intentional because almost across the board, if you're a contactee who's had more than 1 or 2 onboard experiences, I can bet you've had astral projection experiences, mediumship abilities, precognition, healing, full-on levitation. No joke, human levitation. Happened to Jacques Vallée's medical doctor, levitated twice. Whitley Strieber talked about this. Bud Hopkins had cases, by the way. I started looking into it. I asked Dolly Saffron, "I don't suppose you've ever levitated?" It's like, "Oh yeah, it used to happen when I was a kid. Freaked my family out." So yeah, it's across the board. Healing abilities, that's a big one actually. Poltergeist-like activity will break out. It's you who's doing it. It's your own bioelectric field, which has been turned on.
Yeah, I often wonder if telepathy is just something natural in all of us. It's just a muscle that we don't exercise, right? We're not aware of it. But you go and communicate with ET. Most of it is telepathic. I haven't had a telepathic ET experience. Mine have always talked. I'm saying too much now. I'm saying way too much. But if you go and you do that, now you know that you can do it. So you come back and now you know that you can speak telepathically or possibly receive messages from people that are doing it unintentionally, but suddenly you have that gift. Any experiences like that where suddenly people are telepathic?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a tendency to think that ETs are doing everything that they do with technology. But I think if you take a closer look at it, they're not only telepathic, they are levitating. They're walking through walls. And if you start looking up like the enlightened masters and yogis of the Far East and all this, they're doing all this stuff too. Telepathy, precognition, healing, cases of walking through walls, not kidding. So this is apparently a natural talent that all entities have once you're psychically developed. And yeah, in my own case, I started investigating UFOs, started having encounters. I'm going off the charts with astral projection, got really good at it, and had a whole bunch of psychic stuff. And I didn't really talk about it because I'm a researcher. I'm trying to be impartial here, and it's really not about me. I'm talking about other people and trying to get the word out that this is a real thing. But I know from personal experience that this is absolutely a connection here. It's undeniable, and I think it's very encouraging, actually. Because again, this is not something that's horrible for a person. Not everyone loves it, suddenly having astral projection experiences. That can be a little frightening, but it's not a bad thing. This is a leap in awareness and ability. So yeah,
I haven't tried, but I haven't had like a true intentional out of body astral experience. I haven't had it, not intentionally. I'm wondering what that experience is like. Now, here's the flip side to that. When I was a kid, specifically 5 years old, I know exactly where we were living, Davis Court, Fort Sheridan. I was in kindergarten. And that summer, I had the most vivid dreams of me flying over the playground in back of our house above my family and friends.
OBEs. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, these are vivid, real, like, man, I'm flapping my arms and taking off kind of stuff. And they stopped. I haven't had a flying dream like that in 60 years. 58 years.
You need to start meditating, Jimmy. I've got a guide, a 2-page OBE guide on how to do this. I've taught a lot of people. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to anyone who wants it. Email me, prestonufo@gmail.com. It's free. It's 2 pages. You follow these steps. I can't guarantee it, of course, because you have to actually do the steps, and that's the hard part.
Sure.
There's a couple of obstacles that prevent people from doing this. It's laziness, honestly. It's fear. It's skepticism and ignorance. Those are the 4 obstacles. If people don't know what it is, they've never heard of it. Ignorant. They are afraid. Your fear will stop you from doing anything in life. You have to do it. Laziness, they do it for a couple of days. No, you have to buckle down. It took me 7 weeks of meditating for an hour a day, doing these steps before I had my first OBE. But I maintain this. It's a natural human talent that anyone can do. And most people in their lives report at least 1 to 3 OBEs at some point. So it's absolutely
what's it feel like?
It's great. It's like flying. It's like discover. It's like walking into a video game, but it's real. It's a whole new world. It is fantastic because you get to meet your deceased loved ones. Can you imagine losing someone you loved and getting to meet them face to face and going to basically what we would call heaven? It's the best experience you could possibly imagine. It is absolutely worth the effort. So I think a lot of people are going to be doing it once they figure this out, because that's how life-changing it is.
So what do you do? Are you sitting around one day and a little bored going, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go somewhere. Is it like that? You can just, jump on your bike and ride?
Well, I think there are people like that. I'm not quite there yet. I mean, if I lay down and I'm really intending to do it, I can almost do it, not at will, but pretty good at it. It takes 20 minutes of fully relaxing. That's the big barrier for most people. You have to learn how to relax. And yeah, it takes some time. It's like learning how to play guitar. You can't just pick up a guitar and expect to be good at it, or a computer program. But it's all about just meditating, relaxing physically and mentally. You do these sort of visualization exercises, and suddenly you'll start seeing progress almost immediately if you do these exercises. And
I just got an email from Bill, my moderator, and head chief moderator, I should say. And he says this. He's talking about the noise that popped in on the show earlier. He said, it sounds similar to the blip we got every time on the car AM radio when the family drove by an old Air Force base in northern Michigan, when the radar sweep passed through us. So, were we just scanned? Right?
The government is listening in. Come on,
I know
this is a big subject for them.
I know that.
They've got rooms where they just watch every darn podcast.
At Coast to Coast, and it's happened here too as well, but at Coast to Coast, I don't want to say who the guest was, but at Coast to Coast, and this is Premier Radio, and in the studio there, and it's a first class operation. No different than when you're watching CNN or Fox and you see the big studio and the professionals and the it's like that. Okay, so I'm there. I'm in the studio, and I'm doing an interview. The show's live, but it's a closed system there. Okay, it's a closed system in that the studio is independent of everything else. It's called a closed system. We're the point of origin. Okay, so everything goes out of the studio. Right? You follow me? But it's a closed system. We are creating the broadcast. So headphones are on. I'm in the studio and doing my thing. And I hear in my headphones, and the only people that can talk to me on my headphones without anybody else hearing it is my engineer, who's sitting in front of me, and my producer, who's behind the glass. Okay? That's it. Over the headphones, and everybody hears it. This happens. Get him off the air now. And I grabbed my headphones and I looked at my engineer, and he's like, what? And I look at the producer behind the glass, and everybody's losing it. And I said, did that go over the air? I said that live. That go out over the air? Everybody goes, what? I said, you know what? We'll be right back. We're going to take a commercial break. This is Coast to Coast AM, and I'm Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Boom. We break it, and we're all just freaking. What was that? So we had to, because I spoke about it, and the engineer logs everything. All right. There's a log of every show, everything that goes on, commercials, music, interviews, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It's all logged. This gets logged. I then get emails from the engineers and the engineering staff at Premier asking me about it. They went in, they did a full breakdown of the studio, and they came. There's no way that somebody from the outside can break in to our headphone mix and say, get him off the air.
Well, here's the question. What were you talking about?
I don't want to. You know, and you know what? Whatever we were talking about, UFOs, the Air Force, government secrecy, the CIA, whatever it was, you know. But
It's been something.
but it was bizarre, man. And Premiere turned that studio over. And here's the thing: producer, engineer, and myself all heard it in our headphones. The audience did not hear it, and that caused a lot of problems at Premiere. I lost my shit, Preston.
I don't blame
Because
you.
it's such a smooth running operation. You know, I go in, there's a countdown clock. You know, it's 10 p.m. Welcome to Coast AM. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Right? It's just smooth. Everything is smooth.
Well, I know, having talked to a whistleblower, that they have listening technology to basically hear whatever conversation they want going on. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they have the ability to, you know.
We all speculated on the, and it was really funny how Premiere, and I'm just telling you right now, they were absolutely adamant it was an impossible situation, but they didn't know how it happened. We all said the same thing when, okay, so what did you hear? I heard, get him off the air now.
Rude. Damn.
You know, that's what I heard. Nothing more, nothing less. They didn't come in. They didn't say Mr. Church. They didn't say anything like that. Get him off the air now. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It was great. Never happened again. I did Coast. I hosted Coast for 6-7 years. And I never had anything like that happen again. I've had interference run here on Fade to Black a lot.
I had a few weird things happen, nothing to that extent, but as a young researcher, and I'm interviewing people all the time, you wouldn't believe the phone problems I had. It's insane.
Of course. Look, if you're talking about going to Trader Joe's on the phone and getting some Kung Pao chicken, you got no phone problems.
Yeah.
Talk about ET. Yeah. Talk about ET for a minute.
I would be interviewing, it's hard to pin down some people to do an interview. Second you get them on the line, there's click, click, click. There's all this static. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, just tell me your story. I'm like, are you sure it's okay? You can hear me?
You remember, you've been to my old house. And so, which was in a gated community, right? So you had to pull through the gates. You had to go through all this, and then you could pull up to my house. You were there. That house, I was sitting. So nobody rings the doorbell there because it's gated, right? Okay. Nothing happens. There's nobody that gets beyond those gates that isn't supposed to be there. And I'm sitting on the back patio and my doorbell rings. It's like, I didn't even know I had a doorbell. It was never used. So I get up and I go and I open the door and it's a Fed, some lady in a suit. She goes, Mr. Church? And I go, who are you? We're here. So we would like, I said, who are you? And she goes, we're with the census. The census? And I could see a badge, right? I said, no. And I shut the door on her. Just like, and I kind of looked and she leaves. The next day, same thing happens. I'm drinking coffee. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm on my back patio. Doorbell rings. I was like, Jesus Christ, 2 days in a row? What? I go, and it's her with like 3 big football players, all in suits, flat tops.
That's not census.
No. They all played for Nebraska, right? So anyway, and I specifically remember the dude on the left. He had red hair, and he was just ginormous. Big dude, man. Big dude. All 3 were big. And she goes, Mr. Church, we would like to ask you a few questions. I said, no, you who? And I was being a dick. I look across the street and they're driving 2 Crown Vics. Yeah. And I said, I'm not answering. And my boss sent us back. Your boss, you know what? Go F yourself. and slammed the door. I think we exchanged, if this is 15 years ago, but we exchanged a few other colorful words, and I shut the door. The mistake that I made was I didn't shoot video. I should have gone out and taken pictures of the car and shot video, and I didn't. I was just more pissed off than anything else. So then I asked my neighbors, did the census come? No. And, and I talked to like 4 of my neighbors. Nobody had any contact. Nobody remembered anything or saw anything. Yeah, strange, right? So when you say there's clicks on the phone or they're aware, they are. Is it a true Men in Black? I just felt like they were checking on me.
Yeah, I don't doubt it for a second. There's a lot of researchers who've talked about this. I got a call once from some guy who said he was a colonel and involved in satellite mapping, has his top secret clearance. I'm in the middle of the Topanga Canyon UFO wave investigation. I hooked up with the police. I was putting up those flyers that you were talking about. I was going door to door. I'm all in with this. And this guy calls me. He's like, you're doing UFO investigations. You're Preston Dennett. I'm like, yeah. Thinking, okay, I've got a colonel. He's going to tell me a story. He says, what you're doing is dangerous. I'm like, oh, it is. How is it dangerous? He says, well, it's not what you think it is. I'm like, oh, well, what is it? He says, you're barking up the wrong tree. So he's talking in circles now, and I'm starting to get annoyed with this guy. And finally he says, well, there's no pay dirt in it anyway. I'm like, well, hold on a second. I didn't say this. I'm thinking, you just said it wasn't dangerous, or it was dangerous. If there's no pay dirt in this, how could this be dangerous? What you're kind of contradicting yourself here.
That's right. Yeah.
So he just kept going on and on and on about his resume for a long time before any of this came out. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Before I say goodnight, this doesn't happen to me as much anymore, but I would say from like 2013 to about 2016, like right in there, that 3 or 4 year period, I was in constant contact. Somebody was reaching out to me from the feds constantly. And I think that they gave up, or if they're still doing it, they're doing it in a more clandestine way, because I basically every step of the way said, I'm not buying what you're selling. Go F yourself. I am who I am. That's it. I represent the community. And this happened over and over again. And this is email. This is phone calls. And some of them are known people too, as well. But it got to the point where, for me, I never went, oh, really? Okay. All right. Yeah. I never did that. I never did. I was not interested in the bullshit. I wasn't. Well, we would like for you to be a part of it. We'd like it. No, dude, no.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Stick to your guns. Yeah.
Go find somebody else. But I'm not your guy. And it is really slowed down. It's really slowed down. I'm not for sale. I'm not for sale. I really, there's one thing, and I'm glad that I'm lying on the couch and you're my psychiatrist at the moment. You're doing a good job, Preston. I've now gotten to the point where in my life that my only interest is trying to figure out what's going on in this phenomena and supporting the community. What I don't do is I don't repeat somebody else's bullshit. Somebody calls me up, they've got something to, where they want me to repeat this and spread this. I'm no.
Yep, I had that big time once. I'm like, you're out of your mind. I still have a whole file of this absolute crap. Because I was curious as to, they were trying to use me as a patsy,
Yes. Yeah. I had that so much.
Forget Not going to happen.
No. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm so happy with the way that my life and my career has gone because I've consciously made those decisions. I don't
think
care.
when you start having a big influence on this field, that's when they take notice and they kind of latch on and see if they can worm their way in somehow.
Yeah, 100%. I've been invited. Okay, so Jimmy, man. Okay, so the pop, and we want you to have a seat at the table, and come on.
You're so great. They'll flatter you up, butter you up.
No, not interested. Don't care. I'm gonna go ride my Harley. You guys have a nice day. That's it. I'm going to get to the end of this journey one way or another, and I'm going to figure things out, and I'm going to support this community. I will not be a part of disinformation, misinformation, and manipulating minds. No. Preston, you're the absolute very best, my friend. And I always look forward to not only our conversations, but seeing you and hanging out. I don't know when I'm going to see you again, but where can everybody follow your work?
Yeah, just punch my name in the internet. It'll take you to my website, prestondennett.weebly.com. All my books are there, excerpts. You can contact me through my website. I have a YouTube channel that's growing quick. I'm very excited about that. Easy to find on Facebook and all the other social media platforms. And of course, you can find my books on Amazon and other online retailers and bookstores if you can find it. But yeah, huge pleasure, Jimmy. Always fun to do a show with you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Give my best to Dolly, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Preston Dennett, everybody. His links are below over on our website and throughout social media. This is wrapping up the guest portion of our week this week. Tomorrow night here on Fade to Black, it's our once a month AMA AJA, where you get to ask me anything. So I'll see all of you tomorrow night. But until then, all I've got is go Beckley Tap. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.